about this case. You're going to see that this is a case that the state has made that is filled with suspicion, but is completely empty of evidence. You're going to see that this case is not about a young 18-year-old girl who was dating a 23-year-old man and in some reason or another caused great harm to an 18-month-old child. Because you're going to see from the facts of this case is about a victim. Not just one readily apparent, that's JD. This 18-month-old child that had tragic injuries. There's no question about that. But the second victim sits at this table right here, right behind me. That victim is Trinity Poague, because she has been accused of crimes she did not commit, based upon speculation that incorrect. Because you're going to see from the evidence that what occurred here is nothing to do with Trinity Poague's hands, nothing to do with any violence she would have ever have done toward the child. The evidence is going to show you that Trinity Poague was 18 years old at the time she was accused of this crime. She had graduated from high school the spring before that. She had graduated with honors. She had received a scholarship, the Jimmy Carter Scholarship Program. She agreed to come to Georgia Southwestern under that scholarship program to get a degree in nursing. She had just completed her first semester of school, making straight A's, when it began the second semester in January of 2024. Now, when she first entered Georgia Southwestern back in August of 2023, she had a relationship of boyfriend and girlfriend with Julian Williams. You already heard a little about it. Julian Williams is 23 years old. She's 18. This relationship has already been described and we acknowledge was volatile. It was an immature relationship, one in which they argued and fought and broke up and got back together and broke up and got back together. The breakups were usually on an hour or two, fussing over text messages or whatever. But you will see from that evidence and all that you will hear forward that Julian Williams was a controlling boyfriend. He wanted to know everything about what Trinity Poague was doing. He wanted to know the passwords for every bit of her social media, Snapchat, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it may be. He wanted complete access. That when he text messaged when he was away, he wanted a response immediately. He wanted to know that she was not going anywhere when she was in college where she would talk to other men. He did not want her to do anything. He was a controlling factor in their relationship. But at the same time, Trinity Poague at the time thought she was in love with Julian Williams. And so as time went on from August until January, when this event occurred, Julian Williams would come to see her at Georgia Southwestern College and spend the night quite often. He spent every weekend, virtually every weekend with her. And most days he spent at least a couple of times during the weekday with her. Now, Trinity knew that he had a child. The child was JD that you've already heard about. She first started dating him, that was in June of 2023. The child was approximately a year old. She did not meet JD immediately. She met JD later. But when she did meet JD, Julian was fine and dandy with her taking the child off by herself and doing whatever she wanted to do as far as shopping or things of that nature, because he knew that Trinity had experience with young children. Because Trinity, from the time that she was 11 years old until she was 18, had babysat for numerous people in Donaldsonville, numerous times, would take care of their children. And oftentimes the children she took care of were the age of JD, under a year to a year-old child. And so she was well secure in doing so. And you're going to see that most of the time, though, the child was not with JD, was not with Mr. Williams, who's known as Jay, because he would leave the child with his sister. As you heard already, he and his sister were living together. And in reality, the sister was caretaking the child. Mr. Williams didn't take the child with him unless he had to. You're here on the time he had the child here on January was because the sister all of a sudden couldn't keep child. When he came on the weekdays, he didn't bring the child with him. When he came on the week, he bring the child. He would get the child to Trinity to take care of him. I believe you'll hear testimony that Trinity was the one that made the child, clothed the child, got the child ready for bed. If you see any photographs or any videos that are introduced of the couple, you'll see that Trinity only held the child. She cared him. She took care of him. It's an indication Mr. Williams expected someone else to take care of the child. Now, the child had an unusual circumstance that was born to a mother that is now giving the child up to Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams not recognized as the legal father of the child, legitimated the child, or done anything to have a court declare that he actually is the father. But we're not really arguing about whether or not he's the biological father. But when the child was born, the lady was married to someone else who's not in the picture as well. But the lady that gave him up just told her to come get him. Has not seen the child since she gave him to Judy Williams. Now, Judy Williams has had the child not one single time you can see from the evidence have you taken the child to the doctor. Not one time. For your normal checkups, for your normal monthly and quarterly and all the things that you do for young children. Not at all. You go. You think you're fine after a and you see the addition to Bailey to that about it when she came to see Trinity. This was an unexpected visit with the child. It was an unexpected visit, but Trinity did not know the child was coming. Did not mind that the child was coming, but was not prepared for the child to be there. As an example, would not have had food at the dorm for the child, that type of thing. But that when Mr. Williams arrived, he was drinking. And he was drinking with the child, riding from Bainbridge to Americus. And that he met Trinity in Albany, Georgia. And when he met her, they were going to Poague to have something to eat. And they sat down to eat there, but they did not have some of the things they normally have. And Trinity asked if they go somewhere else because they didn't have what she wanted. So before they left from Chipotle, they were going to go to McDonald's. Before they went, they took the car seat out of Mr. Williams' vehicle and put it in Trinity's vehicle. And they did that because they knew, or Trinity knew, Mr. Williams was drinking. He didn't need to be driving with that child. So they go to the trouble to take the car seat out of one vehicle, put it in the other vehicle. Trinity and the child went to eat at McDonald's. And when they went to eat at McDonald's, this is Saturday, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, sometime in that range. The child did not eat his food, but he's a young child. Not unheard of for a child not to eat. Trinity didn't think anything particularly about that. They then decided to go to Americus. And Trinity had already decided, yes, she had sent text about she preferred that she not see him that night, not just the child, but Mr. Williams. But she realized Mr. Williams was drinking. She couldn't just send him back home with the child because he would be driving with the child. So she agreed to come back to Americus that night. They came back to the dorm that night. And when they came to the dorm that night, they had planned on spending the night, and Mr. Williams would sleep very early. I would suggest to you that he passed out. Drinking. And that left Trinity with the child. Now, some of what was said earlier about facts are not exactly correct. Trinity did text her roommate and ask if she used her room, but not to sleep. If you read the text, it was actually to watch TV, because that would be separate in a way, not to go to sleep. But she had a child, she was up with it, and Mr. Williams was asleep. And I'll talk to you a little bit about the rest of this situation as far as the facts and what happened from there forward in just a moment. But first, let me tell you a little bit about the investigation that has occurred in this case. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation, along with the American Police Department, you'll see from the evidence, are the two main investigatory agencies trying to determine what happened here. And in doing so, they had the right to interview people and try to find facts and all those things. And you question some of their witnesses. But you will see that this investigation also failed in many ways. They interviewed Ms. Poague, they interviewed Mr. Williams, they interviewed quite a few people. But most of the people they interviewed, almost all, was Ms. Poague. Almost all of them. Everyone in the dorm, every friend they could find out anything to find out what was going on. But you'll see when it came time to interview Mr. Williams. Now remember, he's a caretaker of the child. When it comes time to interview his sister, Miss Ashanti Bird, they interviewed him, but no one else. They didn't interview anybody. They didn't interview about what was going on. They didn't interview anything about what might have happened. They didn't interview anyone on that side because there was a rush to judgment in this case. You'll see the DBI guy in this case earlier said Trinity was the last person that was with the child. The child was in distress. She must have been. From that point on, there was no effort to do anything but try to prove the person that did it. But the problem was that when they went to the dorm room and they scoured it trying to find evidence, they found nothing. That did not support their theory very much. So they then have said they think it had to be within a time frame, a very short time frame that this occurred. That's the only explanation. That way it would make it where it could be no one else. Now understand, Trinity was only around the child this time from Saturday around 6 o'clock or so until Sunday at night. And really she was around the child for most of that time with Mr. Williams. If any injury or anything happened to the child any other time period, it absolutely could not be Trinity. And that's important to know because there are some things that occurred here. When Mr. Williams was interviewed, and I believe when he testifies, he will have to admit that he told various stories about what he thought had happened to the child after he got to the hospital. You'll see, I believe, from Dr. Husband's notes, that the first thing he told him was that the child had fallen face down, face first, 5 minutes before he brought the child to the hospital. I don't know where he got that particular statement from, but that's what he told him. He later told police officers the same story, that the child had fallen. And that the child had fallen on Friday. In addition to that, we know a few things about what may have happened with the child as well. We know that J.D. spent the night, as I told you, in the room. They got back from going to eat. When they got back, Mr. Williams is out. He's out cold. And we know he's out cold because there was reports from other people in the dorm that sometime midnight and forward, at least 2 people reported they heard the child crying loud enough. They woke him up. And we also know that Mr. Williams said, I don't know anything about it. I didn't finally admit he didn't wake up. And I would suggest to you that evidence shows there's a reason he didn't wake up for what I told you a moment ago. Because he was drinking enough that he would not wake up. But Trinity Poague was awake during those times. They've already talked about it with the text message that she acknowledged. Now she said the first time it's off the bed, but I think it's okay. The second time when they asked, she said, well, it was really just a blow up mattress. But I think you will see that when that statement was made from hospital, as they were waiting to find out what was going on, and by that time, there had already been allegations being thrown against her. And I believe that you will find that Mr. Williams had wanted to make sure that no one said anything about the child falling off the bed. The bed's important because this bed's not like normal beds. In the statements they already made and because we know from the norm that the child was crying. Now, was that enough to cause these injuries? I know the state will say that's not the case. Well, there's a few things I believe that will be acknowledged or admitted by the medical people that will come testify today. One is any child under 3 and certainly under 2 is not physically developed yet. And in one place they're not physically developed is the skull. Their skull has not joined together to become a solid structure that protects. It is sort of apart. So any evidence, in fact, that the skull was somehow separated could very well be that the skull has not yet formed to be together. But because it's not totally together, a young child is much more susceptible to injury from a fall than would be an adult human being, and can get much more catastrophic injury from what would seem to be a rather unimportant fall and cause great harm to a child. In addition to that, the same holds true for internal injuries. A child's organs are much larger than your organs because they've already grown in size almost to the adult size, even though they're a small child. So they're very susceptible to a fall because it's a small area of a large organ falls and cause injury. I believe that's important to know that that could be part of what could have happened. We don't know why Mr. Williams said the child fell on Friday, but there's also evidence, I believe, to show that if you have one fall compounded by another fall, it can cause some injury that then gets magnified by the second fall. But if we go back to the night in question that this happened, on the fall from the bed, we know that that happened. The next morning, when everyone wakes up, it appears that by all testimonies that will come in, that the child appeared to be okay. They got up rather late.
We started MedicareSchool.com,
Except for one thing. The child, again, did not eat, did not drink. I won't agree with that part, did not eat his meal. Gets up the next morning, at almost 12 by this time, and still is not eating and not drinking. And we know that, not from testimony so much, we didn't know there were some chips that were crushed up in Mountain Dew given to the child, but the medical examiner and the medical records will show the child had no food in its stomach at all, had no food or any substance in its mouth. The child was not eating for some reason, which of course can cause concern, but only if you're looking back to now seeing their problems. But when the child didn't eat, it was just sitting there not eating, and that's when they decided to go get pizza. The father went to get pizza. Now when he went to get pizza, Miss Poague said she was going to go with him. She and the child would go along with him. But he said, no, you just stay here. And prior to him going to get pizza, she and Mr. Williams had taken a shower together. And this was right before he would then get out of the shower and leave. He got out of the shower before she did. He got in the shower about 5 minutes before she did. Because she remained in the shower and shaved her legs. And that took some time. When she got out of the shower, Mr. Williams was holding the child who was crying rather loudly. But that was not unheard of because the child was fussy from time to time and had been fussy during this occasion by not eating. Trinity Poague did not think a lot about it at the time, but the child calmed down. Mr. Williams put him in the seat and he left to get food. When he came back, the child was all of a sudden in distress. Trinity Poague will tell you Trinity Poague's testimony would be that she was there, was cleaning up around the house, and didn't see anything unusual until she looks and sees that the head child is not able to hold his head up as he should. She called her boyfriend because she knew he was not far away and it would be quicker to get the child to get medical attention to go straight ahead than to call some emergency. He went to the hospital. She followed behind to the hospital. occasions by police officers. Mr. Williams gave conflicting stories on various things on several occasions. And he was interviewed some. As I said, nothing was followed up. Now, when you look at the whole totality of this case, ladies and gentlemen, it's easy to just throw it away and say, well, he was there last, must be the person. This case requires Trinity code should not be accused of this crime. I know that when you go back to the jury room, you will want to find justice, and I understand that because you do have one victim, young child. But in seeking justice in this case, not let justice be